here's the thing. I want to ride with this. I want to be okay with this. I want, believe it or not, to be wrong about this. Good afternoon. Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is a new double shot show that comes your way at 4 p.m. Eastern every weekday. Russell Wilson did, in fact, take first team reps at practice today on the South Side. That's not going to surprise anybody. Actually, I don't know that any of this needs to surprise anybody. Wilson was never not QB1 on the official depth chart, and most importantly, in the head coach's heart. Mike Tomlin had told himself at some point over the summer that Russ is my guy. And when he does that, and heaven knows we've seen this in countless other scenarios over the years, when he does that, that's just how it's going to be. So you know what? If that's how it's going to be, let's see if we can figure out how that's going to look like, or let's at least think about it and try to see what the advantages might be. But only after I remind that the disadvantages are significant. You got to understand, for me, this isn't a Russ versus Justin Fields thing. This isn't about picking a favorite or, toggling something in an election booth. This is about the circumstance. This is about the context. This is about Russ being thrust into a mess, really, offensively, certainly in front of him. He's got Dan Moore and Isaac Seumalo to his left, and everyone after that, the other three guys, Ryan McCollum, Broderick Jones, and Mason McCormick, none of them were supposed to be the guys at those respective positions. So what you're seeing is he's going to be blitzed. He's going to be chased all over creation. But okay. Positive. I think you're going to see the Steelers become potentially more efficient on first down. First down has not been a strength of this offense, to put it mildly. And part of that, yes, you do have to blame Fields for that. He hasn't seen open guys on first down that can get you, just 5-6 yards, that can maybe just back people off the line of scrimmage. Another area, Russ can maybe get Pat Freiermuth more involved than he's been, which is not a very high bar. If that happens, then you kind of soften up the middle of the field, and that also would be okay. I'd have no problem with that. In fact, I'd really like to see it. So if you do that, maybe you ease off the rush and you soften things up for the running attack, which is where I think this is really going to go anyway. I think you're going to see the Steelers try to pound the ball even more than usual, especially now that they're feeling good and should feel good that Jaylen Warren is healthy to complement what Najee Harris was bringing. If Najee can resurrect or reconstruct, I should say, the Las Vegas game that he had. And then there's George. One thing we know about Russ, and we've seen it in the limited duty that he's had to date with the Steelers, is that he can still sling it. He can still get it down there. And that has to mean connecting with George. On this roster, George isn't optional. Because this whole idea that, Justin couldn't see the field and left receivers open, that to me is being blown out of proportion by a lot of what I see here and read. The guy who's open is Van Jefferson. The other guy who's open is Calvin Austin. These aren't guys who are going to carry your offense. Russ, if he gets involved, especially on first downs, he can make a difference. There. How did I do? Did that feel like I'm being open-minded about this? Did it? All right, good.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Joined now by Chris Halleck over on the south side. Just came out of the Steelers locker room after their practice in which Russell Wilson took first team reps. And Chris, is the change at quarterback the main thing going into this week, or is it really the offensive line?
I mean, obviously, a quarterback change is a quarterback change.
Yes.
I mean, anytime that happens, that's absolutely worth not just noting, but like that's a major change.
I don't mean from a news
Oh,
standpoint.
yeah.
I get that.
Oh,
I'm talking
no.
about an actual football.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. And especially because Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are two different quarterbacks. But to your point, yes, the offensive line. I mean, I think Michael Birch from Steelers PR put it out there on social media today. They already have 4 different offensive line combinations, and now it's going to be another one because Ryan McCollum has to start in place of Zach Frazier, and they're about to play their 7th game. So that just goes to show you how much of a challenge it's been up front. So absolutely, yeah, it's a major thing.
You know what's funny? If you go back even to training camp, and I don't mean the Nate Herbig phase. I mean once Zach Frazier became the center. If you go back to that time, the general feeling was, okay, here are the 5 guys. We know who the 5 guys are. And it was still going to take 4 to 6 weeks of regular season play for them to come together. So even once you took Broderick Jones out, remember, he got benched on merit in favor of Troy Fautanu. And you thought, all right, well, okay, now this is the real line. You haven't had anything close to that. And it's a team that relies so very heavily on line play from the run blocking standpoint, of course, from the pass blocking standpoint as well. Maybe most because of the heavy reliance on the run. And you're throwing somebody into this. You know, that's the part that I just can't get past here. Tell me, Chris, if you're coaching the Jets, why wouldn't you just send the house? Why wouldn't you just send the house snap after snap?
You might as well. And the Jets are already a high blitz team. They're going to challenge Russell Wilson. Just assuming here, based off of what's happening in practice, that Russell Wilson's going to start. Yeah, you absolutely send the house. And honestly, it doesn't even matter who's at quarterback at that point because the offensive line is so banged up. So you might as well, create pressure, whether it's Russell Wilson who can't move like Justin can, or if Justin is back there, you force him to make plays outside the pocket. Try to create him to force him to make throws that possibly turn into interceptions or batted down passes on 3rd down, whatever it is. So yeah, the Jets, I can't think of a scenario in which the Jets aren't going to absolutely try to just create as much pressure as they possibly can.
And if there's a single player variable in any of this, for me, it would be Pat Freiermuth. Because when we're talking about Justin Fields missing open receivers and not seeing them or whatever else, the one guy that hasn't gotten targeted the way he should is Freiermuth. When you see Wilson and Freiermuth and their connection, what comes to mind for you? They obviously haven't had a whole lot of snaps and reps either because Russ has missed so much time.
I don't really know because we don't have a lot of.
No.
We don't have a lot of anything to base that off of, especially when it comes to connections with somebody who isn't the number 1 receiver. Because I expected, no matter what, that Pat Freiermuth was going to be more involved in the play action game, and he hasn't been so far. I don't think that's just a quarterback thing, or just a coordinator thing, or just a scheme thing. I just think that's just there's a lot of variables to that. But when it comes to play action and getting him more involved in play action, I might trust Russ to possibly unlock that a little bit more because Russ is such an experienced passer in play action. I'm not saying that Justin hasn't been good in the past in Chicago at it. He has. But you're talking about 3-year career versus 13-year career.
Oh, sure.
And so,
I don't think anybody would dispute this.
Right. And so you definitely have to find ways to get Pat more involved in the passing game, whether that's a play action or straight up drop back. You have to get him more involved because there's not that firepower opposite Pickens. You're not going to rely on Van Jefferson to be that guy or Calvin Austin to be that guy. They have a role, but it's not to hurt defenses down the field. Pat can do that, especially in the intermediate game.
They're just going to run the ball, aren't they? That's all that's going to happen here. You're going to see, I'm telling you right now, you're going to see everybody fussing all week long about this and that stuff that we're talking about here. And they're just going to turn around and it's going to be 22-30 and 22-30. Am I wrong here?
No, I mean, it really doesn't matter who the Steelers play. They always want to try to establish the run, and they're coming off their best running game of the season, granted against a really bad football team, but they're still coming off their best running game of the season, and they might be feeling a little extra, might be a little extra hop in their step or whatever, whatever it is. Maybe they just want to feel like, okay, we're feeling ourselves now we can go run the ball. Let's just take care of business. But that is the best way for this offense to run, because that's what Arthur Smith's offense is all about. It's about establishing the run and then using play action to hurt defenses deep. That's what he's done.
Bigs, and more bigs. I'm telling you. This idea that's why I keep laughing off the idea of finding more open wide receivers. I think you're never going to see fewer wide receivers on the field than what the Steelers are going to put out there on Sunday night. I'm telling you, I think this is where this is headed.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense because, again, no matter who the quarterback is, this is an offense that wants to run the football. They have to figure out a way to do it. They can't just – this isn't the 2022 team that had the same starting five every single game. This is the exact opposite.
Yeah.
They have to figure out a way to do it. They can't use injuries as an excuse. They have to figure out a way to get it done. Ryan McCollum can do a fine job. His teammates spoke highly of him after the game. And
that's true.
And now that he'll have a whole week to prepare, a whole week of snaps, whole week of reps, being part of the game plan, understanding what's coming, hearing communication, the way he's communicating with teammates, both on the practice field and the locker room. They have all kinds of faith in this guy to step right in. That's the whole mentality in that building behind me is next man up, and they're going to have that mentality no matter what.
Yeah, something Broderick Jones said to me in Las Vegas. He brought it up on his own. He said, you see McCollum, huh? Like that. I said, I kind of like that, Yeah. When we come back, J1Q.
Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different. Help prevent gun accidents, misuse, and theft. Keep firearms safe and secure when not in use. For safe storage options, visit projectchildsafe.org.
Time now for J1Q. That stands for just one question.
What's up, DK? This is Jeff in Paris, Illinois. My question is, with all the injuries and this rekindled quarterback controversy, how does the team get ready for a Jets team with a brand new weapon and it's back against the wall?
Davante Adams being in this mix now on the other side is going to be one of those perfect made-for-TV type storylines Sunday night. I'm sure they're going to blow it up a lot. I don't know that means it's going to matter too much, even though obviously Adams and Aaron Rodgers have their own history in Green Bay. It's not like they're just going to sit there with the Jets' current playbook and say, oh, let's just add these 4 or 5 old routes that we used to run with the Packers. It's not going to happen. It's going to take him some time to come up to speed. Never mind that he's been hurt himself. The injuries, that to me is what's going to play out in one direction or the other. Either Ryan McCollum is going to be everything that his teammates are hoping for at the center position for the Steelers, and you're going to have some stability. I can't believe I just used the word stability in relation to the Steelers' offensive line, but you're going to have some sort of solid, dependable, quiet performance from these guys, and the Steelers are going to have to run the ball. Guys, they're going to have to run the ball, and they're going to have to run it really well, and they're going to have to run it in a lot of different directions, and it can't just be Najee Harris this time. Jalen's snaps, his reps have to go up. They're going to have to do some screen passes. They're going to have to throw on first down to make sure that they back the Jets off. I don't worry about the Steelers' defense, at least not after a first drive, right? I worry a lot about this offense. I feel like the offense alone has to put up between 18 and 21 points in order to win this game. And I think that's asking a lot of a rusty Russ. That's not a shot at him. He hasn't played a game in anger in nearly a year. He hasn't really had anywhere near the reps with this offense, even in practices and training camp and whatever. Now he's just going to be thrown out there. On the other hand, you said something else that made me think a little bit, Jeff, and that's about being ready. You have a lot of different guys, including Russ, headlined by Russ, who are gonna feel the need to step up. You're gonna see, I think, Russ be aware, maybe for the first time in his career, that if he doesn't perform well in a single game, that he won't play the next game. Think about that. Think about the way Russ entered the NFL. It wasn't a slow process for him. He was just, boom, a star right away. So he's never, it's one thing to be, sent to the sideline as it's related to injury. And even week after week after week, he's standing there watching Justin Fields. He can still say, all right, well, it's because of my calf. My calf never really recovered. That's not what this would be. So there's going to be, I think, an uncommon readiness when it comes to a player like him, even all the way down to a player like McCollum, who's going to be getting the chance of a lifetime to start an NFL game. So readiness, I think, is going to be a positive for the Steelers.